Hello, good people. Welcome to Brands Academy, where learning is made easy. Today, I would like us to focus on some part in grade 9. That's the part of rhythm. Under the part of rhythm, I'm touching on this part because there are some requests that I have received to make a video touching on the part of the rhythm, more so grade 9 work. And the part that I want us to focus on is the part of the note extension. Note extension and the effect of note extension. Now, it's good we start by understanding what is note extension in music under the part of rhythm. You find that note extension means making a note last longer than usual, and it can change how a rhythm feels in many ways. Now, remember when we talk about note, we are talking about we have a semi-brief, we have a minim, a crochet, and a quiver. Those are the notes. So we can make this note last longer than their usual time. So when we do that, then we will be doing what is called note extension. Then you find that when a note is dotted, because you find that before that, we'll be talking about some ways that we can extend a note. And some of the ways we can extend a note, we can use dots, we can use ties, or we can use fermata. Those are the three ways we can use to extend a note. And you will find that when a note is dotted, its duration is increased by half of its original value. Take a note of this. You have a dotted minim, and remember, a minim lasts for 2 beats. So the duration for a minim is 2. So when you add a dot on that minim, you will find that you are increasing the value of that minim by a half. So it will be a half the value of that minim. So it will be a half of 2. When you calculate half of 2, you will find that it's 1. So when you put a dot next to a minim, you are increasing its value by a half, whereby it will be 1. So that a half, it is equivalent to 1, which is a crochet. So the value or the duration of a dotted minim is 3 beats, because it is increased by half its original value. Then you find that this extension can also be shown using a tie or a pause or fermata, as I have said. But remember, when we are talking about a tie, it's connecting 2 notes of the same pitch, which increases the total duration of the note. So when you talk about a tie, we are talking about connecting the 2 notes of the same pitch. Take an example. You have a treble staff. We have a note on line, the second line from bottom, 2 notes on that line. So when we connect those 2 notes on the second line from bottom, those 2 notes, they have been tied together. So their length has been increased. You see that? So that's what we mean by a tie connecting 2 notes of the same pitch. If they are found in space, the space must be the same. If it's the first space, they must be in that same space. So that's the pitch, the same pitch. Then you find that a pause or fermata is indicated by a symbol placed above or below a note or a rest. Then if it tells you to hold the note or rest for a little longer than its usual duration, roughly you can talk about half again of the note value. That's fermata. You find that under note extension concept, rest can also be extended with a dot. So you can talk about rest of a crochet and you put a dot on it. So it will still be extended. Now, let's talk about effect of knot extension on the rhythmic pattern. Effects of knot extension on the rhythmic pattern. Now, you will find that knot extension means making a knot last longer than usual, as I had said. So, the first effect will be it changes in rhythm and speed of the music. So, under this one, we have its slower tempo. When a note is stretched out, the rhythm becomes slower, making the music feel more relaxed or smooth. Another one, under changing the rhythm and speed, it also brings about unexpected rhythms. So here, you find that if a note is extended beyond where you would expect, it can create surprise and makes the rhythm feel off balance or interesting. That's under unexpected rhythm, under changing in rhythm and speed. The second effect of note extension on the rhythmic pattern is changing the beat. It changes the beat of the music. So here you can talk about beat breakdown, and you find that if you stretch a note over multiple beats, for example, it can make the rhythm feel different. And for example, you can talk about turning a quarter note into a half note might make you hear the beats in a new way. Then also you can talk about different feels of the beat under changing the beat. Here, extending note can change how you hear the strong beats in a measure, like making the music feel softer or uneven. Then the third effect is how it works with other notes. How it works with other notes. So here you'll find that blending rhythms, they work here. So extending notes might cause them to blend with other notes, making the rhythm feel smoother or less defined. And lastly, you can talk about the effect of changing the music structure. Here, you will be coming up with new rhythms. So, extending notes can also create new patterns, especially in style of music where the tempo is flexible and the rhythm isn't strict. So, those are some of the effects of note extension on the rhythmic pattern. Now, as I sum up, let me sum up with a brief explanation of note extension. I had just touched on meaning. Now, what will happen if we have a dotted semibreve? Remember, the duration of semibreve is 4. So when you put there a dot, that dot is a half the value of that semibreve. So a dot will take 2. Will take 2 because it's a half of 4. It's 2. So the dot, it stands for 2 beats, and the 2 beats are for minim. So you'll find that at the end we have a semibreve plus a minim, which will give you 6 beats, which are duration. When you talk about a minim, where I had talked about, you will find that it has 2. So a half of 2 is 1. A half of 2 is 1. So it will be a minim plus a crochet, which will give you 3 beats, which is equivalent to 3 duration. When you go to a crochet value or duration is 1. When you introduce a dot on it, that dot is a half the value of a crochet. So the a half of 1 is a half. That's why it's taking the duration of a quiver. So mathematically, it will be a crochet plus a quiver, which will give you 1.5 duration. That's how the concept of note extension is applied here. Thank you for staying connected. Thank you for viewing. Let's me hear from you where you would like us to touch in our next video. Remember to subscribe, share, comment, and may God bless you. This is where learning is made easy.